please welcome Mark Blutstein, Research Analyst, Phocuswright, Inc.
Are we there yet? What a great question for a conference theme. It lets us look both forward and back at our industry. However, this question is missing something. Unlike long road trips where your children might have asked, are we there yet, because they knew where they were going, we don't have a set destination here, because where we are going really does depend how we measure it. Where are we speaking about, and who are we talking about? So over the last 10 years, we've seen in the travel industry changes both in the technology side, the travel companies becoming technology companies, and then we've seen emerging markets become giants. We've also seen consumers try new technologies. So where is there? The easiest place to start is at the top. The travel industry, in terms of global bookings, is $1.4 trillion. And it's had healthy growth, about 5%. It's probably why we can have a whole conference for it. But are we an online travel industry? That really depends who you asked. If you only look at the terms of travel penetration in terms of bookings, it's about 46%. So more dollars are still transacted globally offline. However, we do know consumers do everything online. They shop, they share, and they also will plan online with friends and family through many channels, where it's messaging or email. Now, are we a mobile industry? Is the mobile revolution over because we're not doing everything on apps? Well, yeah. Over 70% of consumers in 7 major markets will shop or book travel with their smartphone. And we already know they do more. They share their photos. They use their phones in destination, especially maps, to find where to go, to book a restaurant reservation. Then they'll go to that restaurant, take a photo, and show all their friends that they found this unique place that no one else has been to, yet has 1 million Yelp reviews. Again, though, in our industry, we focus a lot on bookings. And if we only measure by bookings, US and Europe are not there. Less than 30% of the share of online travel bookings are done on mobile in US and Europe. Compared to China, that's a pedestrian amount. They're approaching 90%. Now, I don't bet, but if I were a betting man, I would not think that US or European travelers are going to approach 70% in mobile bookings in the next 10 years unless something drastic changes technology-wise or within human behavior. And there's a big difference between China and the Western markets. We've already heard the story. They're mobile first. They're a younger consumer demographic, and the stats are there to prove it. Over 50% of travelers in China and Indonesia are 18 to 34. 18 to 34-year-olds are the travelers who are more likely to try new things. They're less scared of technology. They're also not the loyal travel customer, so they're going to try new things. But there's an interesting thing about Chinese and Indonesian consumers. The older ones are as well. They are also very likely to try technology. They're also very likely to go to destinations they've never been to. Is it because this is a new emerging market and travel is just new? Or is this their consumer behavior and the way they are? And this is something we should look out for in the next 10 years. Now, in travel, we have many large technology players and just large travel companies. But currently now in our industry, we already know there's non-travel players in the technology industry that are kind of around us, kind of shaping where we might be going next. They have higher engagement among consumers. Consumers go to their website on a daily basis. This stat has been said at our conference many times. For leisure, most travelers are taking 3 trips or less. Now, we do know they're kind of thinking about travel more often thanks to the internet, but still, it's about a few times a month in most major markets. So they're not getting the same traction as a lot of the online players who go get consumers every day. Further, their size and their data capabilities. So it's very easy to start with Google. They've been mentioned more times than I can count here, and there's good reason why. Travel planning starts on Google. When a consumer gets inspired in the US to think about a trip or a destination, 25% say the first place they're going to is Google. That is above the trusted resource of their friends and family. Why wouldn't they just call a friend up and tell them where they should go? No, they're going to go online and search. And we've seen that since Google owns the top of the funnel, they're really controlling the downstream traffic. And the way that traffic gets shown to consumers, as we've seen before, is through ads. After those ads, they have their own product. And then finally, there's an organic search site. So we've heard already the travel companies here at our conference have been speaking about how they are going to have to change their strategy. And for good reason, because consumers not only go to Google for search, but they're using this new product. We see in both the US and Europe, 50% of travelers have used Google Hotels. Around 40% have used Google Flights. And for this survey, we showed them the screenshots because we really wanted to see the difference between these products that Google has given the consumer versus Google Search, and we did not want them to make that mistake. And we've seen it in the news that this is affecting the travel industry, both on the public side and their response to their strategy moving forward. Now, the travel funnel is what we've spoken a lot about at the conference. It is something we're almost obsessed with, the way consumers get to the purchase. One company, especially in the US, does not really depend on a funnel. Amazon is one of the only US websites that does not depend on Google to get consumers direct. So what would happen if they go to travel? Without a travel product, around a third of consumers in 4 major markets said they would give it a try over their current preferred methods. Further, in the US, 18 to 34-year-olds, who when we survey don't really show much loyalty to travel brands, that number jumps up to 55%. So US 18 to 34-year-olds are not yet loyal to travel, but they're loyal to Amazon Prime. And we ask about these large players because, as we've heard, the Chinese consumer uses super apps, and they book travel on these apps which did not start within the travel industry. Take WeChat, for example. They started as a messaging service and then developed payments, a whole online platform that other companies can kind of link into this consumer base and then get purchases for travel. 2 in 5 Chinese consumers already buy travel products there. So I want to ask, where is now social media in the other markets in the travel industry? Is social a place for commerce? Social media sites get more eyes on there by consumers than most other websites. We spend more time there than any other website passively scrolling through images, posts, and memes. Then we will also share these photos of places we've been just to get some social capital among our friends and family. So how does this work for the travel industry? Currently, its best place is on the inspiration stage. As we passively scroll through these pictures and photos, we save them and put them into lists. We remember them and say, when we get to a destination, maybe I'll check this place out. And this really drives consumer thought process when they get to a place. And we've seen travelers say they were influenced by things they saw on social media, whether it was to book a product or visit a specific site. In Indonesia and China, it's around 90%. And in all other markets we surveyed, over a third. But as I mentioned the funnel, the travel funnel really is a search shop buy, whereas social media lives above it and below it. If they were to get into maybe a commerce space in booking, their funnel might be something different. It might be something as inspiration, conversation, then booking. The thing is, consumers don't go there to actively make decisions. Fewer than 1 in 5 US travelers have gone to a social media site to actively research a destination, compared to Chinese travelers, where almost half. So when we're trying to make a decision, social media is not the place to go. It is the place to spend time and waste time, maybe, for some of us. But they do offer travel products to buy. Well, Instagram offers you the ability to buy a bag. They don't actually offer any flights and hotels, but would you actually consider buying that? In terms of the industry, the majority of travelers aren't there yet. We see 1 in 3 in the US. And I would not expect this to get much growth until we see some of the data privacy and concern issues that consumers bring up about social medias get changed. Now, moving into the future. The most hyped things most people feel we talk about: AI, human automation, and voice and chat. Personally, growing up, I wanted this future. I would wake up, or even in the evening, watch the Jetsons with my mother, and I would one day always wished to have Rosie the robot be a good friend of mine and clean my room. She would be able to tell me jokes and then do the chores I never wanted to do. But the world has given me a Roomba that cannot even get around the legs of my bed. Flying cars, granted George was always stuck in traffic, but still a great idea. And I know we are testing it, and there is innovation around this that is currently building. However, the best innovation that has come out to date is Uber. And someone from New York, I love Uber because raising my hand to get a taxi in the city to take me to Brooklyn never happened till Uber. So that is a good innovation, but still not flying cars. Which brings me to voice. Natural language has strengthened, and we've seen it, talked about it at our conference, and it's very hyped right now. But it is still getting better and something that the industry can move forward, yet consumers aren't there yet. 25% of US travelers report owning an in-home digital assistant. Further, they aren't too keen on trying many travel actions with them. The one that got the highest response from consumers about being comfortable with is having one in their hotel room. We see travelers from China and Indonesia are there, above 50%. However, in the other markets, it's closer to about a third. Now, what about automation, getting rid of some human touch points? Maybe some people might call them human pain points, like checking your bag or hotel check-in. That could be a rough thing. Maybe it'd be better if it was done by a computer or a robot. Well, US and European travelers aren't there. Less than 50% said they'd be comfortable trying this. Whereas in the Asian markets, over 50% said they'd be comfortable giving this a try. So maybe they are the Jetsons' future that I hoped for, where robots would be helping us out. So now, I want to go into a little case study, because I did say it really, asking are we there yet matters on where we are talking about and how we measure. This case study I want to go over with is Japanese travelers and their responses. So 30% say they'd be comfortable buying travel from Line, one of their messaging service. Around 40% are comfortable with using biometrics to get into their hotel room, whether that's a fingerprint scan or a facial scan. What about messaging chat services to maybe get an extra pillow or kind of find out where to go in your destination? Almost 50%. But when it comes to robots doing human actions, over 70% are already interested. So they're there. So are we there yet? This really does matter on how we measure. Whether we're talking about, are we an online industry? Are we mobile? Are the giants here at our door? Or will social be the next place for commerce? And what will the future hold? It really depends how we ask these questions. And for me, I'm really happy we are still on this journey, because there's a lot more we can discover and learn as travelers and as an industry. And also, I'm actually not that ready for a flying car. Thank you.